I think the question that I have about David Benavidez is how you gonna carry that weight. Is the volume still gonna be as fast and as loud and as strong as it normally is, right? How's your conditioning gonna be? Because all move-ups are not the same. Sometimes people move up and it's like, man, that weight class fits you just right. You should have moved up a long time ago. Then other times it's like, you're not the same. You're not the same fighter up here as you were down there. So that's the question I have with Benavidez. How's he gonna carry that weight? Is the volume gonna be the way that it was previously at super middleweight, light heavyweight? And is the conditioning gonna be there? If it is, he's 20. Go ahead, talk to me.
Most of his training is at that weight.
Yeah, over 200, really. He's got the age advantage. He's younger. He's 29 years old. He's got less miles.
That's the big thing.
Right?
Yep.
He has never been beaten. So anytime you've been knocked down or beat, you wear that. That's a scar you got to wear. He don't have that scar going into this fight.
None.
But Zurdo does. That's just because he hasn't lost. We haven't seen that blueprint. And even if guys have good rounds, they don't have good fights against him. Ultimately, they wear down mentally, physically, emotionally, and David Benavidez takes over, and he ultimately stops guys or beats them up and gets his hand raised. Will that happen again against two-time cruiserweight champion Zurdo Ramirez on Cinco de Mayo?
Andre Ward and Roy Jones Jr. break down exactly why Benavidez could completely break down Zurdo Ramirez in this matchup. The biggest concern for Andre Ward is David Benavidez moving up to cruiserweight, but Roy Jones Jr. insists it will not be a problem for him at all.
How's he gonna carry that weight? Is the volume gonna be the way that it was previously at super middleweight, light heavyweight? And is the conditioning gonna be there? If it is, he's 20. Go ahead, talk to me.
Most of his training is at that weight.
Yeah, over 200, really. Over 200,
exactly.
Really. Yeah.
Most of his training is at that weight. How could he possibly not carry it? How could he do all of his training pretty much at that weight? So how could he? Exactly. So how could he not be the same guy?
Sometimes, man. That's like that with everybody.
Not for him.
Everybody cutting
Not
up.
for him. Yeah, but not for him. He's cutting differently.
Well, we're gonna see
the whole time.
We're gonna see.
Okay.
Right?
If you ever see him outside of a fight, you understand that this dude, this is nothing for him.
Andre Ward warns not to underestimate Ramirez as a three-time world champion, but says David Benavidez's unbeaten, never knocked down record gives him a clear edge over Zurdo.
So
I'm guessing, but he might get 210, 215 or something like that, maybe more. He just got a big frame.
I think he gets bigger.
Yeah, he got a big frame. So this may be the sweet spot for him. This may be just where he needs to be. But he's got the age advantage. He's younger. He's 29 years old. He's got less miles.
That's the big thing.
Right?
Yep.
He has never been beaten. So anytime you've been knocked down or beat, you wear that. That's a scar you got to wear. He don't have that scar going into this fight.
None.
But Zurdo does. I like Zurdo's style. He's tall, he's rangy, and he's steady and consistent. He's got good punch selection. He's got good pop. I mean, he's a three-time world champion for a reason.
Highlighting how Zurdo Ramirez can weather the storm with his pressure style, Andre Ward questions how David Benavidez will handle moving up in weight despite having several advantages.
Zurdo Ramirez can weather those storms without taking too much punishment and getting hit too much and keep that thing tight into the back half of the stretch. He's got a shot to try to implement his style, which is pressure and just that grinding presence. But he also can box when he wants to as well. And I want to see how much he boxes and how much he fights, because in our interview with him, it sounded like he want to do both all at the same time. And you can't do both all at the same time. You got to choose when to box and when to slug. And for David Benavidez, man, can he conquer another weight class? Can he go out there and become a two-time cruiserweight champion and then a five-time world champion on this Cinco de Mayo weekend just for one fight and one fight alone? That's the questions we have. So,
giving his prediction, Andre Ward leans toward a 60-40 edge for David Benavidez, while warning Zurdo Ramirez that he is facing a fighter with no clear blueprint for how to beat him, since all of his past opponents have struggled to solve his style.
I don't have a prediction, but I think it's going to be a great fight that I give David Benavidez a slight edge to. Right? This is a 60-40 situation for me. Maybe a little bit more in his favor, maybe 65-35, but that's just because he hasn't lost. We haven't seen that blueprint. And even if guys have good rounds, they don't have good fights against him. Ultimately, they wear down mentally, physically, emotionally, and David Benavidez takes over, and he ultimately stops guys or beats them up and gets his hand raised. Will that happen again against two-time cruiserweight champion Zurdo Ramirez on Cinco de Mayo?
Adding on, Tim Bradley warns not to sleep on Zurdo Ramirez at this weight class, while questioning how David Benavidez will handle the move up in weight.
I think Ramirez is kind of getting slept on. You got to understand that he's been at this weight for some time now. He's acclimated. This is David's first fight, man, at cruiserweight, bro. Like, it's going to be different. I mean, I know he has the right style to give Ramirez fits. If he can still have the punch volume that he punches with and some hand speed, I think his mobility is going to be a little bit different too.
25 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of weight, man. So, I just worry about that, to be honest with you. But, I mean, Benavidez does have the style, I believe, that to give Ramirez some issues. But stamina, you got to think about that. You got to think about power translate at that heavier weight. I mean, there's a lot to think about, in this fight, a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Despite raising concerns, Tim Bradley still favors David Benavidez because of his ferocious style, saying he has a real dog in him and believes he may not stop Zurdo Ramirez, but will definitely do serious damage.
I'm gonna go, look, I'm gonna go with Benavidez because I think Benavidez is special, bro. I think he's special. I think he has what's internal needed to be, and he can pull it off, bro. He has that little fat boy still in him, my boy. Hey, that little fat boy still in him, boy. Hey, that motherfucker, boy, woo! Hey, he gonna bring it out. He got that dog in him, bro, and I think he gonna take Ramirez to that brink, bro. I don't think he gonna stop him, but I know he gonna put some work in.
The biggest concern from boxing purists is the move up in weight for David Benavidez, but he remains fully confident, insisting the fight with Zurdo Ramirez will be a full-blown war and saying he wants to be remembered as a boxing legend, which for him means taking big risks.
So I'm expecting a war. The thing about this fight is...
He's a tough fighter.
He's a tough fighter. I used to spar him when I was younger. You know what I mean? I sparred him. I got him ready. I sparred him since I was 17 all the way until 23. So I sparred hundreds around with this guy. Right. And the reason why I moved up in weight class so fast, because I always told my people, I'm like, if we get a chance with Zurdo Ramirez, if we get an opportunity to fight him, I'm gonna jump up and fight him immediately. Right. And my last fight was like light heavyweight, and I was talking with Oscar De La Hoya, and he said that there's an opportunity to make this fight happen, so we jumped on it. Mm-hmm. But Zurdo Ramirez is a great fighter. He's a champion. He has 2 belts right now. He has great technique. He has great footwork. He has great. He has good power, you know what I mean? So he's a dangerous fighter. This fight for me, this is probably the hardest fight on the table for me, but at the end of the day, bro, it's about risk. You know what I mean? I want to be a legend in my own, so by the time my time is said and done, I want to be one of the greatest boxers of all time, and you don't do that without taking the risk. So this is a big risk, but it's a big reward as well.
This matchup carries major buzz as one of the latest Cinco de Mayo headline fights, a stage once owned by stars like Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Canelo Alvarez, and Zurdo Ramirez is clearly feeding off the excitement that comes with the chance to make history on such a big fight date.
Oh, I feel great. I feel so excited for this May 2nd in Las Vegas, and I mean, it's just like dream come true right now.
For a while, Floyd Mayweather, he held Cinco de Mayo hostage, and then Canelo Alvarez held Cinco de Mayo hostage, but now you finally get a chance to fight on that great Mexican holiday. How does that feel? It's a Mexico versus Mexico duel.
I mean, it's great because we never have 2 big guys in fighting in Cinco de Mayo, and I mean, it's just exciting. It's making history.
David Benavidez is known for bringing a high volume of punches, something Zurdo Ramirez already understands from their past sparring. But Zurdo insists he is coming to neutralize that output with his boxing skills and ring intelligence.
It will be an amazing fight. I don't think we will need a ref in this fight because we're gonna throw a lot of punches. And it'd be a war.
How do you plan to match his volume puncher? We know he throws volume punches. Are you going to keep up with that pace, or are you going to do something different for that?
I want to keep the pace. I want to be toe-to-toe. And then probably I'm going to boxing because I'm good boxing. And I mean, I have a lot of skill to deal with this performance.
The fight is being seen as one of the most competitive matchups, and Teddy Atlas breaks it down by pointing out that David Benavidez holds several fundamental advantages over Zurdo Ramirez. However, he also notes that the very areas Benavidez dominates in are the same spaces where Zurdo brings his own strong intent and pressure, making the clash far more balanced and dangerous than it looks on paper.
It's really an interesting fight. I think it's going to go rounds. For those out there wondering about how I'm handicapping it, I think it's going to go rounds. Ramirez he's a steady, just a steady guy, a southpaw who's a steady, workman-like guy. His hands aren't as fast as Benavidez. He doesn't have the explosiveness of Benavidez. Benavidez will bring, he's kind of like being out in a climate where it's prone to cloudbursts, where 1 minute it could be sunny and the next day or the next second it'd be a cloudburst of torrential rain. That's Benavidez. All of a sudden, cloudburst of punches. Then all of a sudden, steady, outside, long jab, and then cloudburst of punches. And he loves to go to the body. Guess what? Ramirez is dedicated to the body.
As far as the weight difference is concerned, Teddy Atlas says it will be a key test for David Benavidez as he moves up, even though Zurdo Ramirez is not a naturally bigger man. He expects a close toe-to-toe battle where both fighters bring real intensity. Still, Atlas believes Benavidez's explosiveness, higher output, and sharper hand speed could be the deciding factor that gives him a slight edge over Ramirez in a tough competitive fight.
Both guys, you're not going to have to look for them. They're right in front of you. Ramirez is, he's solid technically. He's pretty good defensively, moving his head. You know, so is Benavidez. They both will obviously engage you. It should be a great fight. Again, you don't have to look for either guy. The more explosive, the faster guy is Benavidez. He's moving up in weight. But don't forget, will he carry his power up in weight? But don't forget, Ramirez is the guy that used to be a middleweight when he first started. He's moved on. He's been up at the heavier weight longer than Benavidez. His body has become stable at that weight and had time to stabilize itself, you know, and fit and settle in at that weight longer than Benavidez. But he's a guy who's moved up several weight classes. So at the end of the day, you can't say, oh, he's the much bigger guy. He's not the naturally bigger guy.
Teddy Atlas gives another twist in his breakdown of David Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez, saying the fight could realistically end in a draw because of how closely matched their abilities are. He points out Ramirez's calm and steady style as a real danger in long exchanges. At the same time, he highlights Benavidez's explosiveness, hand speed, and ability to explode in quick bursts as factors that constantly threaten to break Ramirez's rhythm and control the fight.
I like Benavidez, but I think it's going to be a tight fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a real competitive fight where I wouldn't be shocked if you could even think about a draw. I know that sounds funny coming from me right now, you know, early prediction talking about, but I like Benavidez. I think his speed will be a difference. I think his ability to open up in those bursts. But the steadiness of Ramirez and the ability of Ramirez, Benavidez puts punches together. He'll run punches on you, especially if he gets you up against the ropes. But Ramirez will run punches on you too. And he can counterpunch. He can mix it up pretty good. He can fight outside, inside. Both of them, as I said, love to go to the body.
Calling it a real competitive and tight fight for David Benavidez, Teddy Atlas ultimately leans toward Benavidez due to his pure talent, powerful energy, and brutal combination punching. However, he also warns that the steady, composed style of Zurdo Ramirez could be a real challenge, especially with the move up in weight also acting as a potential hurdle that Benavidez will need to overcome during the fight.
I think it's going to be a very tight, competitive fight, a little bit more pure talent, a little bit more on the side of Benavidez. But don't forget, there's a talent in being steady, being reliable, being consistent. And Ramirez is that. I like Benavidez in a real tight fight. I think it's going to be fun. We're going to live stream it, I believe.
With fight day approaching, the boxing community is weighing in as Sebastian Fundora breaks down David Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez. He leans toward Benavidez, saying his superior skill set will be the deciding factor. Fundora also recalls the fight with Anthony Yard, pointing to Benavidez's power, speed, and volume as something the world has already witnessed, and believes it will play a major role again in this matchup.
I favor Benavidez. You know, he's been on a good run, beating everybody. His last fight looked spectacular, and a heavier guy, stronger guy. So on paper, but you know, we saw the difference in that. So I think they sparred a couple times ago. I think you mentioned to me before, and that it was fairly easy to him as well. So, you know, I favor Benavidez in this fight. Benavidez definitely has the punch to do it and the speed. He's bringing a lot of speed. Again, talking about the last fight, you saw the speed difference in these guys, because these guys kind of like heavyweights, looking for one punch. All it takes is one punch. Just when is that punch gonna come? Benavidez is a lot different than these guys because he has speed. He'll throw like 20 punches at you and he'll hit you with all of them and they're all gonna hurt you.
Then comes the blunt prediction from Ryan Garcia, who believes David Benavidez will stop Zurdo Ramirez by knockout. He even goes as far as saying the job could be done around the 7th round. In his view, Benavidez's pressure and output will eventually break Zurdo down as the fight wears on.
Oh, for my prediction, David's gonna knock him out. David gonna sleep him. I think David stops him within 7 rounds. For sure, yeah.
For David Benavidez, the long-term target is a dream fight against either Canelo Alvarez or Dimitri Bivol, and much of the boxing world is hoping he wins to unlock those big matchups. Sean Zittel believes speed beats power, saying Benavidez has some of the best speed in boxing and will use that advantage along with his pressure style to break down Zurdo Ramirez.
Benavidez wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think kind of like we were just talking about with Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios. I think it probably more competitive fight than that, but one guy's speed kills in this matchup, just like it did for Ryan and Barrios. And it's interesting. David, for the first time, is fighting someone bigger than he is, and I don't think Ramirez. He better not show up like he did for the Dorticos fight, his last fight, where he's very fleshy, soft around the midsection. He's got to come correct, and if he does, he'll provide some resistance, but, Benavidez is one of the best fighters in the world. And I just think his speed will be too much. I'm interested to see how cruiser, he's talking about going right back down to 175 after this to get Bivol or Beterbiev, which is...
That'd be a good motherfucker.
Malik Scott, part of Zurdo Ramirez's corner team, shared his honest view of the matchup, saying Benavidez is very skilled at what he does. However, he still believes he sees Ramirez coming out on top in this fight. He emphasized that Ramirez's discipline, timing, and ring control will be the difference when they meet in the ring. He added that this is the kind of fight where experience and composure under pressure will decide everything.
It's very dangerous, but Zurdo Ramirez is the best cruiserweight in the world, and this right here is going to be not only probably his toughest fight, but he's about to get defeated by Zurdo Ramirez.
What's the difference between the two of them? Why are you so confident Zurdo will handle the business of David Benavidez?
Well, Zurdo knows how to do everything. To me, David Benavidez is an incredible pound for pound, a ring pound for pound, but he's very good at doing what he's doing. I don't see nobody like making him have to adjust. Alex Goljevic, I believe I'm saying his last name right. He's the only one that fought him very well to me. Everybody else seemed to fight him a little bit, on his pace and let him do what he wanted.
Despite the risk of stepping up to cruiserweight to face Zurdo Ramirez, David Benavidez makes it clear he is not intimidated. He says he fully understands his own strengths and is prepared to showcase his style at the highest level. Confident and focused, he insists this is exactly the moment to prove why he calls himself the true Mexican monster, especially with Cinco de Mayo weekend adding even more weight to the showdown.
This fight, instead of draining myself, I'm actually adding more muscle, I'm adding more weight, and I'm not gonna have to drain myself like I usually do. So if I was already a monster with extreme conditioning in the fight, and I could keep it going throughout the whole fight, imagine when I don't have to drain myself. I'm gonna be the monster times 10. So I'm just excited, man. And like I said, every fighter at this level, every fighter is great at this level. And this is a different level where I'm at. So danger's everywhere, man. It's just really what you do with it. I mean? I could, I'm not scared of nobody. I know what I could do, and I know what I'm capable of. So this fight is gonna be an example of what I could really do.
The stakes for this fight are extremely high, and Jai Opataya is paying close attention as he eyes a possible future clash with Benavidez. He believes both fighters are evenly matched in skill, but he questions whether Ramirez has the same level of hunger. In his view, Benavidez brings a different energy, driven by legacy and relentless ambition. Opataya feels that extra fire could become the deciding factor if Ramirez cannot match that intensity in the ring.
You gotta remember both these boys have come up.
Yeah.
So they're both, it's crazy that there's two light heavyweights fighting for a cruiserweight world title right now. So, they're both coming up from a weight. So it's an even matchup when I see it. I think, I don't know too much about Zurdo, to be honest. You know what I mean? He's a good fighter, and I've never thought he was a bad fighter or anything like that. But I actually like Benavidez's headspace, and he seems like he's got hungry and he's
Jai Opetaia has shared his prediction, and he is strongly leaning toward David Benavidez winning the fight against Zurdo Ramirez. However, he is not overly focused on the outcome itself. In his view, once the final bell rings, both fighters will move on to what comes next in their careers. Opetaia believes this result could set up a massive future clash, and he is confident the long-awaited fight he wants will finally become a real possibility.
You know, he's sort of more chasing that, you know, the last name, and you know, he talks about a journey with his old man, which I don't know much about Zurdo, so I don't want to, like, I'm not bad mouthing, but
yeah,
just the legacy of, you know, why he's doing it, and he's just pumped up and he's younger and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm sort of leaning towards Benavidez, but honestly, I don't really care. You know what I mean? I just want this fight to be done so we can get ours on.
Gabe Rosado is in a unique position to break down this matchup, having spent real rounds with both David Benavidez and Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. The two-time world title challenger has sparred with Benavidez since his teenage years and also trained alongside Ramirez at the famous Wildcard Boxing Club. From what he has seen, both fighters are highly skilled with strong rhythm, but the difference is clear. Benavidez brings non-stop pressure and intensity, while Ramirez stays controlled, which could decide the fight.
But Zurdo and Benavidez, like, you know, we spar a number of times, man.
Yeah.
I lost count how many times I've sparred those dudes, because I've been sparring Benavidez since he was like 15, when I used to do my training camps in Arizona, in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So I would work with him, and then he eventually then would come to Wildcard, and then we'd work at Wildcard. And same with Zurdo. But, you know, the difference I would say is, you know, Zurdo is more, he's more on working on things, you know what I'm saying? And Benavidez is just more, you know, he goes aggressive, you know what I'm saying? And Zurdo does like 10 rounds of sparring. So,
okay.
I mean, I'm sorry, Benavidez.
Yeah, okay,
Benavidez does. So, yeah, man, I think the intensity is just different between them sparring, man, but...
Rosado emphasized that Benavidez puts in an incredible workload in the gym, often going full pace for 10 straight rounds without any drop in intensity. That kind of stamina and pressure clearly separates him from most fighters, including Ramirez. In contrast, Ramirez tends to focus more on technical adjustments and managing his rhythm throughout training. With Benavidez's nonstop aggression and output, Rosado understands why many see him as the favorite. He believes Ramirez must be in peak condition and near perfect technically to compete.
Since I've sparred with them for so long, we always had good rhythm working together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was very similar to each other. So, but yeah, man, it's really good, man. I think it's a tough fight. I think, man, you know, you got to favor Benavidez just because of the volume.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The volume. And I think Zurdo's going to have to be on his A game. Like, it's going to have to be the best Zurdo in order for him to beat Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? He's going to have to really box well, stick a jab out there, and be in tip-top shape.
Adding her thoughts, Jade Medeiros predicts a dominant showing from David Benavidez, calling him a true beast who will keep doing what he always does. She believes either it ends in a knockout or Zurdo Ramirez will be badly beaten over the course of the fight.
The David Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez. Break that fight down for me. Who do you got?
Man, David Benavidez, he's a beast. He's like a giant, and he'll even take punches. Like, there's a lot of things that just don't face him in the ring. I feel like he's just gonna come out there, do what he's been doing in all his past fights, and he's either gonna end in a knockout or the other guy's gonna get beat.
When styles clash at this level, it is not just about skill, it is about who can hold their ground when the pressure peaks. Benavidez brings chaos, Ramirez brings control, and now the only question left is who imposes their fight when it matters most. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and drop your prediction in the comments because this one is too close to call and the debate is only getting started.